The United Nations already said point blank, the General Secretary said, we're going to have more meltdowns. And you know what? He's absolutely correct. We are not going through these earth changes without having more meltdowns. I'm sorry. We just won't. It's in the cards. It don't get any better from here, man. It's going to get seriously worse. Now, you want God's protection and stuff, well then, we need to get this piece of paper has to go. He won't put up with idols in our nation.
No.
You take those idols out, and all the rest goes.
Even if you don't have a religious perspective, I won't stand for it. You won't. So
Correct.
Whether or not you think God exists or not, there's good people on the earth today saying, we're not going to put up with this crap.
Well, yeah, okay, if they're an atheist or agnostic, okay, you are being run by demigods. That piece of paper has more rights than you got, okay, as they spill all this oil everywhere and pollute the Gulf with Corexit and don't listen to you at all. They laugh at you. You're a joke to that idol. Huh. And you're going to sit back and suck it up and take it, as they take your jobs away. I mean, one day, 61,000 jobs went away. Bye-bye. And you thought the real estate collapse was bad? Huh. What about all these business properties? They're sitting empty all over the place. And who's going to rent them? No one. Nobody's going to rent them. Okay, you think you've seen the worst of the unemployment? Nah, this is just starting. This is a domino effect. And since everything under the 40th parallel is toast because they're moving all the infrastructure above it, what can I say, and NASA already dropped that number. It's not the 2030 report now, it's the 2020 report. Now that we're going to have over a foot of new water going into the ocean.
Tell our new listeners about the 2030 report.
2030 report was issued out of Washington, D.C. in September of '08, just before your stock market crashed, folks. The rich know. At the same time, about 10 days, September 12th, '08, the World Bank issued the document, Fragile State Securing Development. They consider every state on the globe a fragile state, and they're going to secure development. And that's why you're hearing these buzzwords of sustainable development. And another word that Margaret Beckett used, it was right on BBC TV, folks, and they snuffed it out here in the U.S. They aired that show once at like 3 in the morning on the BBC, and they didn't even put it up on their website. Okay, I just happened to be rolling tape. That's my favorite time to wake up because that's the only time I'm going to see anything decent on TV is way early Sunday morning because it falls under if taxpayers' money's paid for it, they have to show it at least once. Okay, and that's Title 17, Section 106 of the Federal Register. Okay, we paid for that report. They got to show it. Now, they won't show it for long. But this is sadder than heck, man. This stuff's going on. Both those reports were issued before the stock market crashed. I mean, they went short on all these stocks. They wiped you out. And they made a fortune. They made trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars as this OTC derivatives market couldn't take that kind of influx of information. I mean, it was too much. And you had all these mortgage-backed securities that were thrown out on the market on this over-the-counter derivatives con, which is up to, I think it was $900 trillion, because now they're bundling up your life insurance policies and throwing it on the open market. That's what's driving your stock market, America, because they know that you're never going to collect on it. You think about that, and you think real hard about it, because I don't mess around, man. You're already in hardcore spiritual battle. You're in warfare that you have no clue on. And even if you don't like, well, I'm not a spiritual person. Man, you have a spirit inside of you, okay? You're a spiritual being. You know, every time you go, yeah, come on, we're rooting for our team or whatever, and that's your spirits with your team. You know, or man, I'm American. You know, you're being led with that spirit. Okay, so every person's a spiritual being. You know, inside this flesh body. What you want to connect it up with, you know, you could be led by your own spirit and see nothing, or, you know, you could be led by, you know, the Holy Spirit, or you could be led by some other spook, you know, or an incorporated entity, you know. That could be your Lord and Savior. You know, I work for Chase Manhattan, you know, bow down and kiss my feet. Oh, bull. You know, I see a suit and tie, I laugh. And it's like, yeah, too much. But man, they're selling out America hardcore. Like I said, man, this is a globalized government already. And the ICCP, climate runs the show. And they're paying for the ICC reports. Where? And that's also in Geneva, Switzerland. The hub of your new world order, or your new, what would you call it? World
lack of order.
Yeah, the
New World chaos.
Washington D.C. is being run out of Geneva, and every other country on the planet. Sure. They signed into this COP15 summit of climate security. NATO runs climate security. Okay, NATO, and the NSA over here is all in bed with it. I mean, you go right to their site, climate security.
All right, hold that thought, Scott. We'll pick it up in just a moment. It's the Bob Tuskin Show on OracleBroadcasting.com. All right, it's our final segment of the week. And of course, Scott from the Believers Underground with us to wrap things up. And let's take a quick look back at the week on BobTuskin.com and the Bob Tuskin Show. Of course, our archives, if you missed any of the shows, are available for free. On Monday's show, we had a great solution-oriented program from ham radio to growing a garden. Our off-the-grid expert, David, joined us. And with a surprise appearance from Payday Monsanto, we did Monday's show. Tuesday, we had Aaron McCullum back on for False Flags, to talk about false flags, BAE, survival, water, and so much more with Aaron McCullum, TruthSurvival.com. Great show. You're going to want to check that out. If you missed it, Wednesday's show, a fascinating program with Dr. Betty Martini for the first hour on the aspartame genocide. And for the second hour, we talked about nuclear news from Fukushima to Nebraska, a scary situation. And Steve Stars was with us for the last segment on hemp, medical marijuana, and the HIV fraud. And then yesterday's show, we had a great roundtable with Popeye and Mark Passio of What on Earth is Happening. Be sure to check out Mark's show on Sunday, right here on this network, 5 o'clock p.m. East Coast time. And we went from 9/11 to arresting activists, like we've been talking a little bit about with Scott, for feeding the hungry. And there was not one dull moment on last night's show. So a lot of great stuff covered this week on the Bob Tuskin Show. And, of course, original articles from Bob Tuskin and contributors. If you didn't see the headline of the most recent article I wrote, it's about the FBI, quote, saying that the controlled demolition theory is backed by thorough research and analysis. Major story. You'll see it on the Bob Tuskin website. Breaking it first to all of those out there that this is no longer, now nearly 10 years later, just a conspiracy fringe topic. Now the FBI is even admitting it. You got to see the letter. You have to see it to believe it. I thought that we would receive a form letter, just a standard reply, but they actually addressed us, and not only did they address us, but they said that the information was backed by thorough research and analysis. So lots of great stuff at the Bob Tuskin website. Please support our sponsors. bitcoinexchange.cc, a new sponsor of the Bob Tuskin Show. Of course, we're working with the intelhub.com and all the other great folks that help make this show possible. All right, Scott from the Believers Underground, let's wrap things up in this final segment, buddy. Go right ahead.
Yeah, you know what? America, man. It's time to put together 10 million, 20 million person march on Washington to remove this idol, because I'll tell you what, if we don't get this thing out of our face, we can't do anything. It's like these people trying to feed the poor. Look at Bush and Clinton. Oh yeah, text us $10 to this 501c3 charity and we'll feed the Haitian people. Man, that was a crock of garbage. Now they want to control handing out the food here in America? Give me a break, man. These guys are major control junkies. They want to control everything, even to giving food out to the poor. Now, man, if that doesn't stir you up to get all these groups out there and all your peoples and the church systems to get out of that idolatry, then I don't know what's going to take. What, a huge earthquake on New Madrid? Because it's coming. You can't have all these hundreds of trillions of tons of pounds of weight go into that area that has a fault zone in it. We just saw that same anomaly hit Japan. And I put up the video. That whole ocean sank days before that quake went. And the only thing that can make an ocean sink is weight. And that's that water that's leaving those ice packs. And it was caused by fallout. There is nuclear fallout in those ice cores, big time, for the first time in the history of this earth. And Chernobyl blew a hole in the ozone. Don't kid yourself. And after Fukushima blew 3 weeks later, imagine that, a 40% increase in the hole in the ozone. Shock. Okay? And you're going to see more holes in the ozone. And Fukushima ain't done yet. You know, in Japan, she's going to sink. I mean, man, I'm watching the Filipino plate underneath it getting rocked, you know, ever since that other one. And that other one that had the 9.0, it ain't done either yet. That place is in major trouble. And you still got a bunch of nuclear reactors. And France, where people are getting sick like crazy, man, the bulk of France is nuclear powered. I mean, wow. Who knows how many accidents they had and didn't say nothing about. I don't know. We had, 14 in the United States last year. We're already up to, 6 this year. I mean, and you don't hear it on the mass media. They're owned by GE. You know, that's got these plants. You know, the DOE, this Department of Energy, man, they're all up in bed with the World Bank. Energy is big time player at the money game. Don't kid yourself, man. They're hardcore big money. You know, man, it's sad. And, you know, we could have went to alternative technology a long time ago if we weren't being ruled and governed over by this idol and all these other idols. Man, God, it just makes you sick to your stomach thinking about it as they spray the daylights out of you and they jack your food with all this toxic garbage. And then most of your laking systems now are polluted. They did a study with USGS on all the aquifers over here in California. Only one of them was decent, one of the wells. All the rest were polluted. You know, and then you had all these nuclear tests going up in the 50s and 60s. I got the radiation fallout map for the United States. The U.S. got powder keg with nuclear fallout, 10 to 17 rats. You wonder where all those cancers came from. Well, hello, nuclear industry. Hello, nuclear world. All this stuff started happening right with Japan. You know, man, they dropped those nuclear bombs over there and they're testing over here. And then you had over 2,000 atomic testing projects that they blew up. I think it was 263 total nuclear bombs they detonated over these decades. Man, that's stuff that went everywhere. That is your Codex Ailmentarius. You look up booty radiation, nuclear fallout on Wikipedia. Go ahead, man. Put the acid test of this one. Nuclear fallout falls on a field. That field becomes irradiated.